Jeff Johns, Tim Sheridan, Jeremy Adams, Zermanico, and Michael Janin reveal the identity of the Clockwork Killer as Dexter Dent suits up to go free his mother from Arkham Asylum, while Thomas Wayne puts the pieces of the mystery of Flashpoint together. Jeff Johns, Tim Sheridan, and Jeremy Adams somewhat pay off some of the mystery they've been building up over the course of this series, with the Clockwork Killer being revealed and what the consequences of said reveal have on not just Thomas Wayne, but also Bruce Wayne back on Earth Zero. The reveal that it was the Joker-fied Martha Wayne of Flashpoint is strange to say the least, being that there haven't really been any hints that it was her outside of the things like the Clockwork Gear revelation seen in this issue. Therefore, the reveal just kind of comes out of nowhere, and it just feels kind of like an excuse to have this version of Joker in the story. Obviously, it's being used to fuel the drama Thomas is going through with nothing mattering on Flashpoint and him trying to end Flashpoint so Bruce can live again, but there needed to be some more hints dropped earlier throughout the story as to who the killer was, especially when said killer storyline often took a back seat to frankly more interesting stuff like the Kryptonian invasion we saw last issue. I did like some of the parallels we got between Gilda and her son Dexter and Thomas and Bruce, with Thomas wanting to shelter Dexter from the pain that he and his son over on Earth Zero went through when he died and when his son died, only that is all broken up by how Flashpoint is making him think that nothing matters, and the stuff was really compelling, but it never really reached the heights I think it could have this issue like it has in previous issues. Zermanico and Michael Janin again make everything look super pretty, with some really great paneling that really ramps up the tension of both the Gilda Dent storyline and Bruce finding who the killer is, with the big reveal being the Joker. Michael's final pages back on Earth Zero were covered in bright lights and looked just brilliant, and I love the shadow work he did on them thanks to these bright lights and how the shadows were really long and kind of cast over everything and just looked fantastic. Flashpoint Beyond issue 4 was a letdown when it came to the reveal of the Clockwork Killer, being it felt like this side of the book wasn't really developed enough when compared to the other more compelling plots the book has been building off and towards. I'm going to give this issue a 6 out of 10. Flashpoint Beyond issue 4 finds Corky Baxter telling Bruce that he's getting on his nerves, since shouldn't he have enough problems with the Great Darkness making all of their bad guys even worse, and they just got out of the Omniverse trouble, so why is he trying to make more trouble for himself? Corky tells Bruce that this is his last warning, but Bruce ignores him, which Baxter knows will have consequences. In Flashpoint, the news reports on more of the Clockwork Killer's victims, this time being discovered in an apartment of Iris West, while elsewhere in the world, the Task Force X, now consisting of over 100 dangerous metahumans, begins combating Wonder Woman's forces in Germany. David Knight, the former hero known as Starman, is also reported to have gone missing, as in Arkham Asylum, a cleaner hears a voice. Gilda Dent calls from her cell, telling her that it was just her and her friend, as Thomas wishes he had X-ray visions, since then he wouldn't have to cut open Eobard Thawne, the newest victim of the Clockwork Killer. Thomas thinks of Thawne as a living paradox, one who exists when he shouldn't, and he's the man responsible for solidifying the timeline somehow around Nora Allen's death, which Barry tried to stop and what caused Flashpoint in the first place. Thomas is curious about how he was killed, but he is obsessed with the why, knowing that he doesn't have much time to save his son. Batman begins cutting open Eobard, finding a piece of a clock in his chest, just like some of the other victims. He remembers Barry telling him how his life should be and how he was supposed to die along with Martha instead of Bruce, and Bruce was to become Batman instead. He thinks all of it is supposed to fit together and work just like a clock, as the news continues to report on the trial of Tobias Whale, while Penguin tries to find something for young Dexter Dent to eat, but the boy disappears on him, breaking into the Batcave and taking some of Thomas's gear, telling himself that this is it and he can't be scared. Thomas soon returns home with the clock pieces, knowing that the gears found in Reverse Flash weren't random like they were in the other victims, and they were all from the same clock. Oswald meets Thomas, who knows that the boy has gone missing. Oswald knows it's his fault since he had the news on and they were talking about Arkham, not thinking the boy was paying attention to it. Dexter meanwhile sneaks onto the top of a van pulling into Arkham Asylum, getting into the prison unseen as Thomas heads for the cave, knowing Dexter went to Arkham to see his mother. He soon sees files on his desk, and Oswald knows that they are files related to Harvey Dent and his wife, wanting Thomas to take a look at them. Thomas can't, since he has to put together the clock and he can't go and look for the boy either. Oswald gets angry since he is talking about helping a kid who lost his sister to suicide and his father to murder, and he doesn't need to know he lost his mother to madness as well. Oswald thinks that he would do it himself, but he's not the physical type, as Thomas continues to work, knowing that he's one step closer to finding the real killer, and it doesn't matter where the kid is gone. Oswald knows that they aren't talking about Dexter anymore, as at Arkham, Dexter knocks out the cleaner, taking his ID card as a radio talks about the rumors of an impending alien invasion, and how Will Payton and his associate Carlotta Rivera are seeking out help from people who have had experience with extraterrestrial conflict. The prison security talk about how they now patrol the wings thanks to Psycho Pirate committing suicide in his cell. They soon become distracted when a security door opens nearby thanks to a keycard being used, allowing Dexter to drop from the ceiling on the men and knock them both out, grabbing their guns and removing the magazines, dumping them in a bin. As Thomas puts together the clockwork gears, Dexter breaks into his mother's cell, hugged by his mother who is happy to see him. Dexter knows the asylum isn't good for her, wanting to free her, but she says that Arkham will help Dexter like it helped her. A voice thinks that it's going to help them all, prompting Dexter to ask who was that. Gilda is soon overcome by the voices in her head, which say no, as Gilda says that she wanted to keep them apart, just like Harvey threatened to do, but everything will be okay now. Thomas finishes the clock, but one piece doesn't fit, finding it doesn't even actually belong to this version of the clock. He reads the maker number on it, realizing which clock it goes to. Oswald finds a file on Gilda Dent, knowing that his boss needs to read this now as Thomas races upstairs, going to the clock that hides the cave behind it, and upon removing its face, he finds the gears match the one inside. Dexter and Gilda soon hear a voice as the wall to the cell is blown open, and Thomas knows who the real killer is, as Martha Wayne, the Joker, steps into Gilda's cell, cackling as she does. The laughter finds its way to Earth-Zero through the snow globe, which unleashes a huge burst of energy of what Bruce thinks is temporal energy. Corky, however, knows it's much more than that, calling it blue shift power, which is created when the Omniverse comes into direct contact with hypertime, making for the most dangerous energy this side of the divine continuum. Bruce demands to know what it is doing, so Corky explains Rip makes him do a book report every week, so he's pretty literate for a kid of his age, citing Shakespeare's Tempest and how that story had a great big storm, as well as citing the Swiss Family Robinson. But unlike the fun they have on the island they are stranded on, this won't be fun. Corky reveals that Martha Wayne had a lot of secrets and problems, things even he doesn't know, and things Bruce didn't even realize his father was going to have to face in Flashpoint. He says he really did warn Batman and that the hero doesn't know everything about everything this time, and he doesn't know the truth about his own mother.